Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. I am Sean Anderson, Most Valuable Podcast, and the upcoming segment is from our full Fast Break podcast that we recorded. And if you do want to check out that full podcast, head over to Blog Talk Radio /The Fast Break. You'll be able to find the full podcast over there. And really, that's going to drive over to, Ricky, you brought it up, who's going to have the number one pick in this draft. And right now, if the lottery goes their way, if they have the 25% overall, Boston Celtics might end up with that number one overall pick because of the terrible New York, the New Jersey Nets then became Brooklyn Nets.
Yep.
Terrible trade for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett, and that would give the Boston Celtics the number 3 pick last year and now the number 1 pick this year because they can swap 2017 picks. So first off,
that's just.
I know it's January and we won't know until about May if they will, but. First thoughts, do you think the Boston Celtics could really be picking at number 1 overall?
Well, I mean, there's a huge thing you got to look into here, which is not just, the Nets, are they going to suck enough for the number 1 pick? Are the, and I'm going to use air quotes, the ping pong balls going to fall in their favor? That's me obviously making fun of the NBA lottery being rigged. Because the NBA will basically, we want to make sure this player goes here. Are we going to have that this year? Probably not, but to me, the Celtics are they've got the best shot because really, what are the Nets going to do? Like, the Nets are not that team. I have more faith that the Sixers are going to win more games from now to the end of the year than the Brooklyn Nets.
I miss tinfoil hat Ricky. I mean,
it's been a while.
That was a young, open-hearted kid who just wanted the Golden State Warriors to win the NBA Finals, and that was what's up at its beginning. Tinfoil hat Ricky when we did the draft lottery action where he was getting down in his bunker and went on a 4-minute rant about how the draft lottery is rigged. It's not rigged, Ricky. It's not rigged. This isn't the election where the Russians are hacking in and be like, Markelle Fultz needs to go to the Boston Celtics. It's not rigged. It's just really based on odds and percentages. And obviously, I mean, what was the last team that lost when didn't have the draft lottery, or if they were number 1 and then didn't get the number 1 overall pick? Was it the Cavs back when they ended up picking Kyrie, or it was one of those?
The Cavs, the Bulls got it when we had under a 0
0.8% with the Knicks. I think that just looking at this though, I mean, with the way percentages fall out and the way it's fall out in the past couple of years, I think it's very highly that the Boston Celtics will get the number 1 overall pick just because the Nets are such a bad team.
And I don't think they're likely to make moves like Ricky mentioned earlier. Like they're sticking with Brolo and Jeremy Lin, and yeah, those guys can do some things, but I don't think that they're going to end up winning more. You're right. It's just Philly. You're going to have Ben Simmons returning, and you're going to see the minutes restrictions fall off for guys like The Process, like Nerlens, if they keep him, like Ja. Like, you're going to see all those guys putting up close to 30 minutes a game instead of 24 minutes a game. That's going to help them win more games. I'm very excited to see Ben Simmons play in this year. I swear to God, if he doesn't play this year, I'm going to freak the shit out.
Well, and one thing, too, with...
He doesn't have to.
I know he doesn't have to.
Not if they're going to win anything.
And there were rumors about him not playing.
Just shut it down.
So that way they could get the number 1.
Just shut it down.
But one thing, too, I mean, if you're looking at that team, it's pretty much just Joel Embiid versus Brook Lopez. I'm taking Embiid. Embiid's been a stud, and Brook Lopez, he's a good player, and he could probably be very helpful to a playoff team. I don't think Brook Lopez is going to be able to win me games. The Process is an all-star who's going to be dating Rihanna. I'll take Joel Embiid here.
Dude, as soon as I heard about that, I'm like, I got to go on Twitter. I got to help a brother out. I got to vote for Joel Embiid.
But getting back to here, I mean, if the Boston Celtics get the number 1 overall pick and they're picking
crazy.
Either Ball or Fultz, what is this doing for this team? Because this is a team that's not currently. I mean, they're third in the East, but really, I mean, the East is so tight, and plus it's like
it hasn't spread out.
It's like the Cavs, Raptors, and then like everybody else. So really, I mean, looking at this, I mean, how good would this make the Celtics if they got the number 1 overall pick and were able to take a player like Fultz or Ball or Giles or whoever ends up number 1 overall? The
thing with the Celtics that I want to throw out, and one thing that they could do, I know last year we had the rumors of draft day where with the Timberwolves looking at Jimmy Butler, the Celtics looking at Jimmy Butler. I'm not saying Jimmy in particular, even though he's on the block again, but the Celtics could, if they get the number 1 pick, go, do we want to bring in a young kid, or do we want to say, hey, Isaiah, we're going to use this pick and some other pieces to bring in a superstar to help you. Bring in a all-star, a quality player, a veteran to help you.
Well, then they already have Isaiah, then they'll have Al Horford, and then they'll have Jimmy Butler if they do that. But one thing too, I mean, I think that's a lot to give up for Jimmy Butler, the number 1 overall pick. I mean, the number 1 overall pick, that has incredible value.
I'm not saying Jimmy. I'm saying if there's any, like, they could look to move the pick to bring in a veteran who they know, hey, you know what? This guy, this veteran, we already know what we're going to get from this guy.
But how many players are worth a number 1 overall pick is what I'm really bringing out there.
It's likely a 1, and then you're going to switch draft picks maybe in the first round.
Well, one thing that you do bring up,
or something like
the
that,
way the lottery currently sits is, I mean, this won't really this won't really change unless these teams fall into the lottery.
Right.
Currently, the Bulls have the 15th, 16th pick because Sacramento is currently in the playoffs and the Bulls are currently
as long as they stay out
past that 14th spot. So they have 2 15 and 16 picks that they will be able to kind of compensate that with Boston. So I mean, looking at this,
I mean, it's not 2K. Look, you can trade good players for a top overall pick. I think Jimmy's more than worth a number 1 overall. I think that,
really?
Yes.
You think he's worth the number 1 overall pick?
Do you not?
I think Jimmy is.
I don't know about that.
He's still under contract.
If I was
it's not a 1-year deal.
We talked about it last week. He's under contract till he's 30. So you're going to basically get him from 27 to 30.
I don't know. I just think that it's not 2K. You can trade great players for draft picks. The only concern is this Celtics team, when is their window? And that is decided by management. That's decided by coaches. That's not in our hands. If I want to speculate on it, though, and I'm looking at the progressing Jaylen Brown right now, who, given his short time, has looked quite well. He's kind of surprised me because he's playing better than I expected him to his first year. I thought he was more of a project, would be showing up later, but no, he's doing great. Isaiah right now is on fire. Like, he is one of the quickest players in the NBA, and they abuse his speed on offense so much on quick breaks. And I think this is a team that really just needs that score, and they can compete because of their depth. With a team like the Raptors. I want to say the Cavs, but I'm not sure. It's the question at the end of the day is, do you think you can
beat the Raptors first, then worry about the Cavs?
No, the answer is, do you think that this start will help you beat LeBron James?
Well,
because that's all that matters.
It has to come down to.
He's the measuring stick for the East, and for the NBA in general is one of 2 teams. So if you think your window is, well, LeBron James is still there, then go for the stud right now. If you don't, go get a young player. You can get him and Jaylen Brown up to speed at the same time. You got a ton of pieces on that team. There's a lot of growth and development. You can be a constant playoff team and not have a championship unless, hey, maybe somebody gets hurt, maybe something happens to the Cavs or Toronto, and you have a chance that year. Like, you can't predict the future. All you can do is set yourself up to succeed every year.
See, one thing though with Jimmy, I don't think Jimmy is worth the number 1 overall pick, and this is why I'm saying this is because if you with that number 1 overall pick, you get so many options, and you get the ability.
You can lock down a player for about, was it like 8 years or something?
And especially with
now?
the new CBA, you can just give that guy a ton of money and he'll stay. I mean, like you're able to offer him significantly, I think like 45% more than whatever other teams can offer them. I don't know if that's the exact number, so don't kill me in the comments. But looking at this, I mean, you're able to draft a guy who can be a Russ Westbrook and he can stay on your team for
he could
12
be,
years.
but you don't know that.
That's the thing that we're seeing right now. But that's the thing we're seeing right now in the NBA. We're not seeing, I'm drafting this kid day 1 and he's going to come in day 1 and be that stud for me. We're seeing guys like, look at even Brandon Ingram. He was drafted at 2 and we're seeing him develop. Ben Simmons, of course it was an injury, but we haven't even seen him play. We're not seeing, I mean, look at Steph Curry, who
right now the rookie of the year is a guy who was drafted 2 years ago. Number 2 is a 24-year-old. And number 3 is Buddy Hield, who is emerging because of his recent starter role.
You're going to draft a kid and say, okay, you know what, this kid is good, but is he going to help us win right away? Maybe not, but it's okay, Isaiah. It's okay. That's why I would take and that's why I didn't say Jimmy, because I didn't want everyone to think I was a Bulls homer.
You could say Boogie. You could say Boogie. You could say a handful of guys.
Any veteran that you think is worth number 1 pick is an option for the Celtics if it's one of those things where, hey, if we can make the push to win now with this player.
If I was them, I would not. I would keep my pick. I would go with Fultz, and I would plan for this team to line up in about 3 years.
See, but the thing is though, I mean, you mentioned that players aren't coming in right away and making an impact, but we've also seen...
We've had this, to be fair,
right
this past
away.
year was a shitty draft year.
Well, no, last year wasn't a shitty draft year. It's just the players
No,
that
it-
fell into shitty. I mean, like, Ben Simmons can be
it's a
franchise
draft pick
changer.
full of,
Notice how you
like,
said can be a.
at
Okay,
this point,
but-
it's a bunch of role players and backups.
At this point, but I'm just saying,
Yep.
this point right now, it's been a... but it's tough to say.
2
I'm
years
saying
ago,
number
we
one
had
overall
Cat,
picks.
who was being compared to the greatest power forward of all time.
Exactly, and Cat
We
had
had
a
Porzingis,
phenomenal,
who was a god.
and had a phenomenal rookie year.
And that's my point, is each year is different, and 2
But Ben
years
Simmons
ago...
got injured, so
there
you
were
can't say
ton
it's a
of-
shitty
You
draft.
can, because he's not playing.
But what I'm saying is, we're seeing guys
Unknown-
come in
yeah.
and have phenomenal seasons, but they're not guys that come in and change the game. Where it's like we're not seeing like, oh, I've got this guy, bam, I'm a playoff team. I'm gonna use, yeah, fucking 8 years ago.
It still happened.
I'm talking recent. Look at Karl Anthony Towns. It's a great example.
They didn't have a team there. If he goes to a team like Boston, that Boston's already there with Brad Stevens and players like
They're in
Al
the playoffs.
Horford.
Is he going to
They're
push them
already
over?
in- they're already
Is
in the
Jalen Brown going
playoffs.
to push them over? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying Jalen Brown. I'm
Well,
saying
that's
a
what
player
I'm
like
asking.
Markelle Fultz or
Jalen
Lonzo
Brown
Ball.
was 3, 4.
I'm not saying that though. I'm saying a team like if you draft Markelle Fultz and you put him on a team with Al Horford, Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley.
He's coming off the bench and
Jay
contributing
Crowder.
at some level. But are you laying who's losing time then? Smart or Rozier? Rozier's probably gone then. Yeah.
Yeah, Terry
To be fair,
Rozier's
yeah.
probably gone.
But I mean, yeah, you're gonna have Marcus Smart and Markelle Fultz, or if for some reason you want to put Avery Bradley on the second team and have Smart and Bradley and have a defensive lineup there and have Fultz and Isaiah Thomas out there. I mean, this guy can be a franchise changer or possibly a franchise changer, and if he is. He can be better than Jimmy Butler. He's younger than Jimmy Butler. He has more potential than Jimmy Butler, or even Boogie if you don't want to be a Bulls homer. A kid that you're drafting this young can change a franchise, and that's the thing about number one overall picks is that it has so much more value than the number two overall pick because you have so many options.
Yeah,
and that's just the one thing is like I look at this and I don't think it's going to be like. Jimmy Butler for the number one overall pick straight up. It's going to be the Bulls are going to have to give up more to get that. And that's the one thing I look at it just because, you probably would have to give up a first rounder and Jimmy Butler to get this. And
that's possible.
I just look at this and I just see, if you have the potential of drafting a guy who could change your franchise and be there for his whole career and he can win you multiple championships, that's worth more than Jimmy Butler taking a risk. And what if it doesn't pan out?
Oh no, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm merely saying that there's a safe bet, which is going for the proven guy who is a veteran in the league, who is already producing at a star level, and the window lines up for you and your team, versus changing that window for going for a championship, which in my mind is a smarter move because you're not going to beat LeBron James when he's healthy. They have a loaded team, and guess what? Even if you do, you're not going to beat Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors. So. I'm with you. I don't think they should throw away this pick. I think they should use it, pick up Fultz, and set their team up for success down the line because Lord knows that, like you said, he can be a stud and carry this team in the future. It's just we have to see him produce at an NBA level before I want to go any further.
And the reason why, and I'm not saying when I brought it up that for sure go with the vet. I'm just bringing it up because, yes, we have had guys. The last All-Star that we've had at number one that was drafted was after Kyrie. We had AD.
AD
was after Kyrie.
And then
now
Blake
I'm talking
Griffin.
the next year.
But
then
it was consecutive there. Like it was.
No, I'm just saying from first pick from year to year. It was Kyrie, then it was AD. That's the last time we've had. Anthony Bennett in that awful draft.
Woo!
Look at what happened to him. Then in 2014, Andrew Wiggins, who goes to Cleveland, then gets traded to
Minnesota.
the Timberwolves, and even with a young team there with so many young pieces, look at that record right now. They have to develop.
But he's still been fantastic. There's just no team around him.
Speaking of Karl Anthony Towns, was taken in 15, and then this year Ben Simmons.
I don't want to say no team around him. You got three guys scoring 20.
They
got three guys scoring 20 a night.
And it's one of these things where when
That's
you
it.
say
You need a bench.
That's it.
the key word that Sean says is when Sean says, "Oh, a guy can change a franchise." The thing I question with that is when is that can going to happen? Because I could say, well, he can change a franchise, but is it going to happen in 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, that first year on the team? When's that going to happen? It's not can, it's when.
And I'm just more saying that Fultz on a team with Brad Stevens and players that are already developed and not going to a place where Andrew Wiggins went to Minnesota and was pretty much a barren wasteland, and then you add on Cat, and then you have 3 guys but no bench there. I mean, that's pretty much a barren wasteland. You have Anthony Bennett, who was a terrible pick in a weak draft. I mean, I don't think there's an all-star in that besides Giannis Antetokounmpo, who went 15th, and no one was going to pick at number 1 overall. So really, I mean, if you put him on a playoff team, the team that's currently 3rd in the East, that could possibly just bolster this second team, and you have a guy who's going to be putting up 15 off your bench, and that makes it more dangerous. I'm not saying you win a championship.
Don't
Relax.
think you would put up 15 off your bench either, but
I'm
that's
saying
okay.
possibly.
If the Celtics
picks could fly too.
If the Celtics are going to make this pick, they have to be and will be 110% sure that the player they are picking is going to help them push them over that level year 1. Because if they don't push them over year 1, then I trade it for the vet.
Getting back on track, will the Boston Celtics have the number 1 overall pick?
Yeah, I think they do.
We were all saying
Nut up
yes.
or shut up.
Yeah,
because we were.
Yeah. No, we all
I
agreed
think we were
because
all saying yes.
76ers are going to win more games than the
we were all
the
talking
Nets.
about what they would do with the pick.
Yeah,
We went straight through that and what they're doing with the pick, Sean.
It was
Yeah.
yeah. I don't
The
think
Nets suck.
unless the basketball gods the tinfoil hat on and the Lakers get the number 1 overall pick by the
I'll
luck
say
of
no.
the draw.
It's going to be the Dallas Mavericks.
Dave,
Ooh.
can you
Dallas Mavericks
can you
gonna
cover
win
your ears
the
for a
lottery.
second? Unless Embiid gets injured.
You know his headphones are still
Can I
in.
take off my
You're
ears?
good.
Yeah,
You're good.
Okay,
Your
good.
mouth.
I just want to make sure.
Thank you. Oh, shit. Oh, it's just one of our videos scared me a little bit. Don't forget to check out that one. And also don't forget to check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. But thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.